Let's have a look. Yeah, if there's no audio, that's very strange. Now sound. No sound. Okay. Sound. Sound works. Lovely. Does the cameras work? Different cameras. Excellent. Okay. So this was let's restart. Wait. I need to fix my media, and let's add a still. There we are. And press still, and then live stream is about to start. The anticipation is just mounting, and then hi, welcome to 52 Miniatures. My name is Alex. I've had no issues at all with YouTube today, this morning, while starting this stream. And this is, in fact, not the second stream and not the fourth time I rebooted my computer. So welcome. All right. Hey, everyone. So good to see you. I built up a bit of a sweat there. There's lots of you here. I'm very, very pleased to see you all. I saw you all in the other chat as well when it all started out. So hi, Mark and Phil and Gray Fox and Marcus and Florian and Clyde Dashing. I believe, Clyde, did you give me money in the other stream? Because things were happening. I was not paying attention, which was, yeah. Thank you, Clyde. I appreciate it. Applause all around. Hello, Adventure Built Gaming from Alberta, Canada. Is it Canada Day today? Congratulations. Isn't it like the 1st of July as well? That's someone else's day too, isn't it? No, that's the 4th. No, that's Star Wars. I get confused. Hello, Adrian. It was probably your fault that the stream didn't work out. Yes. I hope because I believe I deleted the other one, didn't I? So that there's not two streams running at the moment. No, yeah, I think I deleted the old one. That's the worst thing when there's a bunch of people in the other stream waiting for things to happen, going a bit like, yeah, I'm not going to watch one of this guy's live streams again because it's a bit dull. 4th of July is US Day, and 1st of July is Canada Day. 4th of May is Star Wars Day. See, there's a lot of days to remember. Yes, please. Phil is on to a point. It would be great if all of you that are in here just press the like button, because otherwise we're invisible. And even though it's nice to have a secret little, a secret club, it's also nice to share the joy of the hobby to others. And by pressing the like button, more people actually see that this stream exists. So please go ahead and do that. Hello, Norbert, and welcome. And hello, Wild Dice Roller, for another happy Canada Day greetings from the UK. I guess Canada isn't Canada technically like the Queen's or something? Like she owns Canada. It's like I own this mug and she owns Canada, kind of a thing. Yeah, Clyde, I know Canada is part of the Commonwealth, but I thought it was weirder than that she actually, like, there's a paper somewhere that says, like, this is mine. I could sell it to, she probably can't sell it, but yeah, I don't know. Phil says, I have a secret club. How did you know? it has nails in it in case of in case of zombie apocalypse. I'm safe in the bunker, so there's plenty of reasons to spend a day in a bunker when the rest of the world is about and out. And one of them is a guarantee of not bumping into zombies in case, who knows when the zombie-calypse will start, because it most probably will start. Is there also is there previews going on for Warhammer today, right? Or am I mistaken? It's like another random release day, as if all the other release days weren't enough. Hello, Mark from Montana. How's the Tamaya tank crew coming along? Not as fast as I would want to, but they are coming along. They're primed. Here's one of them. You can't see him. Now you can see him. Here's a tank crew. It's primed. That's about it. But yeah, working on things for the next video. We can talk more about that soon. Kermit says the preview ended 30 minutes ago. Okay, cool. So there should be like things up on the on the internet, right? Of what's new in the world of Warhammer today. How do I find the world of Warhammer? Warhammer. Oh, look, there's a thing. It's a horse, lion, eagle, scorpion. I thought that was going to be like exhaust pipes. That would have been cooler. It was actually just clubs with banners on them. Okay. And then there was a big thingy with the guns on it. Was that it? Okay. Things have been released, as always. Florian says Epic is coming back, which is fun. I saw my friend Ryan from Brutal Cities, that most of you probably have heard about because you've been watching me and my streams. But if you haven't, welcome. Please join my Patreon. I'm a nice guy. But there's a company called Brutal Cities that does MDF terrain. I believe he's just launched, which was smart. I guess he knew about the Epic coming back, but he's released small scale terrain, and it looks really, really cool. The terrain actually makes me kind of want to play Epic more than the Epic miniatures, but well worth checking out just for the, because it looks cool. You can buy it, and I'm sure Ryan will be happy, but even if you don't buy it, you can just look at it and it looks great. Marcus says, I've already got all the Titans. Yes, I know, Marcus, but isn't that's a new Titan? Do you have the new Titan? But that was a Horus Heresy Titan thing. Can you use that for regular Titan gaming? Kilo says, I can't handle the chat scroll right now due to thumped head, but I'll be listening along. Do you usually scroll with your head, Kilo? Because somewhere in my mind that sentence doesn't make sense. I'm not trying to be rude. I'm actually trying to be funny. Yeah. Giles says, greetings from, or Gilles, I don't know, greetings from Switzerland, where I finally tried oil paints. They were intimidating in the beginning, but very fun. Thanks for the encouragement. I'm very glad to hear it. I'm myself looking forward to hopefully be smudging some oil paints on this thingy here today. I still really want to do a proper oil paint video. I keep talking about it. I just haven't got around to it. Of what I've discovered so far with oil paints, but we'll see. It's going to get done, just don't know when. Adrian says, looks like Epic is only Horus Heresy, but tiny. I want the other factions back. I kind of have discovered that I enjoy Horus Heresy. Because I bought that box, to Age of Darkness or something. It's a very original title. And I've only just realized that it's sort of, at least the stuff in there it's like the steampunk of Warhammer 40k. Kind of, not really, but a little bit. And I kind of, that's one of the rants. Should I do the first rant? My rants aren't really. I'm gonna have one serious rant. We'll get to that. But here's a first not very serious rant, which is like, what's up with all the Terminators? I understand that there has been a new box of Warhammer 40,000 released, and it contains new Terminators, and that making videos about that is beneficial for people in my position because it's a popular subject and people will be watching your videos more so than if you don't do it. But I'm tired of the Terminators now. Can we move on that subject? Because if we're going to be talking about Terminators, I've assembled these miniatures for my son because he said, I want some cool robot kind of people. And these come out of the Horus Heresy Age of Darkness box. Now this is some cool Terminators, right? Just look at them. They're magnificently great miniatures, in my humble opinion. This is all about my opinion, I'm afraid. I hope you don't mind. But these are really cool. And yeah, I really like them. And so why isn't everyone just painting, like, there wasn't 65 billion videos on how to paint these Terminators when they came out. But these are so much cooler than, just look at that flamer thingy. These are so cool. You're allowed to like Terminators, the new ones. I'm just, rants are not supposed to be, I should really drill the barrels. Rants are not supposed to be based on logic or stuff like that. But I mean, these are just, because I built these and I was like, wow, these are really cool. The new ones are boring. Why is everyone just making videos on the new ones when there's cool miniatures around? So that was rant number 1, finished. Lacoz says, after one of your videos, I managed to paint around 250 miniatures for Necromunda campaign. How could one of my videos do that? I would have thought it would have been the opposite. It was like, after 250 days, I managed to paint one miniature because I watched your videos. What part of my videos made that happen? Plastic Panzer Factory, Isaac, thank you, says, out of my childhood college fund going to some guy on YouTube. Don't tell my wife. I surely will not. Thank you for the donation, Isaac. It's very kind. Marcus says, yes, the aesthetic of Horus Heresy is spot on, like Diesel Punk. Diesel Punk, that was because it's not really Steam. But yeah, more like Diesel Punk. I just think they're really cool. And so my son he wanted cool things. And we've been going into the game store and he's like, I want that box and I'd like that box. And I say, I'd not like to buy that box, and I'd not like to buy that box. And then he wants to 3D print things because I have a 3D printer, and then I'm boring, and I say, well, it's really difficult to like find things to 3D print that aren't just crap. There's plenty of good things to 3D print, but it's just there's just so much. You sit there and like, well, what would you like? A dragon? Okay, there's 65,000 dragons to print. So, and then I thought, well, these are cool. And he was like, yeah, they're cool. So we assembled them, and he's asked me kindly to paint them for him. Usually he likes to paint himself, but these he were like, can you? Because I want them to be really nice looking, he said. And so I'm going to do that. Probably do a video on it after I've finished with this video, which is a diorama, which is a bit late in the making. Yeah. Hello, the Sigmarite painter. Good afternoon. How are you doing? I hope you're well. Florian says, yeah, the Catapracti. I think that's these fellas. Terminators are the best Terminators. I just thought they were pretty rad. I mean, they're a bit sort of they could be sort of an Addams Family heirloom thing. It's like vampire meets medieval suit of armor. It's like Count Dracula vibes going a little bit, heads on spikes and that. But yeah, I just like the style, like on the back here with these exhaust fan things, and yeah. And yes, love the guns, and also love the claws. Swords are a bit boring, but my son was in charge of what they were supposed to be armed with, and he thinks swords are cool, so that's why there's a sword. Isaac asks, anyone here try one-page rules? I haven't tried one-page rules. Yeah, I haven't. But people seem to, I've heard about people that use the rules, like from creators using the rules. I've never seen anyone in real life sort of play a game with them. So, yeah. Phil says it's a bit simplistic, but I guess that's the point, right? Ozark Hillbilly says, enjoyed your visit to America and Canada. Yes. I enjoyed it too. There's supposed to be, I did that little sort of vlog video. I've also sort of done a proper video with Dave that I haven't finished editing yet. That will be released on the Mini Wargaming page. And I also did a video together with Scott that will be released on Miniac's page, Scott's page. And he hasn't finished editing that. So there's going to be more stuff that, came out of my trip there. It's just not it's in the pipeline. I hate that expression for some reason. It's like, it sounds really cramped and dark and possibly smelling of crude oil, sticking your project in a pipeline. Anyway, but yeah, So there's going to be more to come out of it, but I'm glad you liked that video. Um, Mark from Montana asks, were you able to keep Dave on script? No. Um, um, yeah, no. There was. I mean, there wasn't really that much of a script. There was ideas, and we stuck to the ideas. But then, um, yeah, it'll be an interesting video. Hopefully, it'll be fun. Um, there's a lot of work that went into it anyway. Uh, there's a lot of minutes filmed. Let's just say that. Dave Potts says, as a Deathwatch player, I've been loving the heresy models to really drive home the veteran aesthetic, including these Terminators. Yeah, I mean, I also like the fact that the scale is still sort of 28 millimeter scale, kind of, because I've been painting the regular Space Marines with the beaks, the beaky Marines, and they're pretty small compared to you know the super Space Marines of the 41st millennium. And yeah, everything just seems more like 28 millimeter, same as Necromunda is more like 28 millimeter. Whereas when you get into Age of Sigmar or Warhammer 40,000, then everything is all of a sudden is larger. Anna Karin says, "Good afternoon. Joining from the sewing room today. Small stitches whilst pondering small figurines." I guess that's the next hobby, isn't it? Like actually making clothes for your little Space Marines. That'd be something. No one's done that. I'm sure people have done it, but I've never seen it. Could be a thing. Yeah, so I've been working on this house here today for a little bit. I actually thought maybe I should do some painting on this stream. This is just airbrushed so far, which is the sort of backdrop slash setting for my next diorama, which is going to be the next video. And it needs, yeah. I just started today. So far, only airbrush. And I think the house is it's actually going to be all burnt out. Probably also kind of moldy, like green. So it's going to be more black and green. Oh, look, now you can see me. But I kind of want to start with painting it like it should be, and then start making it sooty and green. So I should probably do that, not just sit here and talk nonsense. I should actually get some work done. Phil says it needs 40 years of weathering. Exactly. It's going to be, trust me, Phil, it's going to be weathered. Because I kind of primed it black, and while I was priming it, because this is a 3D print, so it was gray resin, and I was priming it with a black primer, and that's sort of when I was halfway done, I was sort of like, wow, this is sort of what it should look like, just pretty much black. But I also want to get some greens in there. But I'm going to do it the complicated way and make it look all pretty, and then grunge it down after that, I think. So I think I'm going to sponge on some. Like it's just because I want to get the textures in. So like this plaster stuff should have more textures, and all the rocks should have more textures, and everything. Like the bricks, there should be black bricks and yellow bricks and red bricks, and just do all that kind of stuff. And then get onto the heavy weathering. But it's nice to have a 3D printer. I'll be honest, just being able to print something like this out, and it's big. Look, there's a Terminator. It's a big house. Gary Jensen is buying me a small beer. It's a very small beer, Gary, but I'm not going to complain. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Hello, Jamie Mayers as well. Good afternoon. While packing up my old flat, are you moving to a new flat, or have you like rapidly accelerated in the career of that is life and bought yourself a house? Because I know you're moving, but yeah. And sorry, I jumped. Thank you, Gary. Celebrate the first super chat from Gary Jensen. I certainly am. And Jamie says, reminded to press like for the engagement of gods. Yes. Alison, are you back from your holidays? You would be. Otherwise, it would have been like a really long holiday, I guess. Phil says, hey, watched Marco Twitch stream, and he said Liquitex gouache only needs shaking once a week. Just saying. Yeah, I like to shake my paints, especially on stream. Dirty Brown Bear says, I recently got into 40k and picked up my first set of 1,000 Suns. After building one of my Scarab Terminators, I realized the head is going to be impossible to paint. Any advice moving forward? What is the impossibility? Is it because just the details, or because I know the 1,000 Suns are very embellished, or is it just because of where it's placed? Please give me some more details. I'm sort of desperately trying to remember my rants. I promised you rants. I've already had one. Yes, I've got another minor rant. Today's rant number 2. So there's going to be one serious rant, and the rest of them are just not exceptionally serious. But while I was building this diorama, which is going to be in the next video, I was going to do this street down here, and I wanted to have, when there's more of like cobbled streets that have this pattern that goes in sort of semicircles. I figured that would be more fitting for this setting. And then there was some other bits and pieces that I wanted to get from my game store. So like there's a rolling pin from Green Stuff World that has that specific pattern that I was after, and then I wanted some other things. And I just to make sure that my game store, Alpha Spel, had that rolling pin in stock, I checked online, and it turns out that they've moved a lot of their stock to a separate location so that they can have a more effective online shipping distribution thingy, which means that they've moved things out of where they have their store, which means that of all the things that I wanted, they didn't actually have them in the store. So I could order them online, and then they would be in the store the next day, which is exactly why the reason I loved having that store so nearby was because I could spontaneously just get an idea, like I did. Ooh, I need that rolling pin. I'll get on my bike and I'll go to Alpha Spill and I'll get the rolling pin. And then I ride my bike back and then I just, and I get these spontaneous ideas like I need this paint or whatever. And I just go there and I come back. And that now proves to be not be possible with all the things that they usually used to have in stock. Now I need to plan my spontaneous buying habits with at least 1 day's advance. And I'm sorry, Alpha Spill, but I don't like it. That would, the great thing about your store was the fact that you had everything in the store and you could just go there and browse. Not that I would have to go to the store and hear that the things are not in stock, but they could be tomorrow. Could you please come back? Then I might as well just order it online and not go to the store, which beats the point of having a store, which is a bit sad because we really like your store. But please, if you work at Alpha Spell, reconsider. I realize there's practicalities involved in being able to distribute your things that are ordered online more efficiently, but I just loved how things were. And so now I might as well just not go there unless it's for like playing at one of the tables or something. I can just order it online and get it shipped to me, which is a bit sad because it's very nice to just go to the store. End of rant number 2. Yes. Grey Fox. It's a bit frustrating. I mean, it's not a big deal, and probably most of the, all the things that sell a lot is most probably still there. All the paints, if you go in for, buying your Citadel paints or whatever, they'll most definitely be in stock. But I was just very much in love with the fact that I can go there and everything was in stock, even the little weird things that don't sell very well. But now that is no longer the case. Okay. I've got my little sponge. I'm going to be sponging. On some texture, hopefully, in semi-random patterns. Ouch, that was too much paint. Oh dear. So this is supposed to then be... I'm going to do all this, and then I'm probably just going to paint it black. But, that's the way of things. I had too much water in this paint, I think. Good to see you as well, Marcus. I hope I haven't seen... I know you're doing a few other things at the moment. I hope to see you more. So please come back. Adrian is asking, is the warehouse close by, or is the stock that is temporarily out of stock no longer in Stockholm at all? No, the warehouse, I believe, is close by. I'm guessing they would have loved to just have more space where they are, but that, for some reason wasn't doable, or that the location they're in doesn't have, good enough loading bays or whatever. But I don't know exactly where it is, but I'm guessing it's very close by. Jamie says, I'll be moving out to the immediate walking range of Element Game store in Nottingham, which is probably much healthier for my bank account, from a rented flat to a rented house. So you're getting a house. That's pretty cool. Does that mean you'll have a more functionable? No, you already have a functionable. And I was going to say, does that mean you get a larger hobby space? But you already have pretty large hobby space, don't you? Phil is saying, I'm not seeing the chat. Alex is mentioning. Anyone else have the problem? Does anyone have a problem with the chat? So this spongy thing is, I just really like the spongy thing. Any sort of random ways of applying paint is great, especially when there's just lots of different layers and lots of different ways of doing things, like first using an airbrush and then using a sponge and then maybe using a brush and then maybe using an airbrush again and then using oil paint. And in the end, there's just so many things that are going on that with a bit of luck, it almost looks real or something. It does take a bit of time though. Gary Jensen says, glad you enjoyed my city, Alex, which is in St. Paul in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Yes, I did. I mean, I didn't really see much of it, but a little bit. We went on that. There was an art fair thing going on, which was fun. It was like a weekend with lots of artists opened up their studios, so you sort of could go around and check out all this art, which was great fun. And that was sort of the only thing I did that wasn't sort of filming with Scott, really, or streaming or whatever. Okay, that didn't turn out great, did it? So should we just jump into rant number 3, the major rant? Might as well get it over with, I reckon. Because I think after that I'm probably, oh, darn it, that was a lot of paint. Okay, wait. See, I start talking and then I stop concentrating and then things just turn into a mess. Major rant at the time. Okay. So here's the thing. this rant is also a little bit based on my own on a slight petty behavior from my side, but a little bit more than a week back, I was going to go to Oslo for work. I had an assignment in Oslo. For those of you that don't know, is that when I don't sit, with a really small sponge in my hand, making kind of acceptable but not really acceptable blobs of paint on plastic buildings while streaming live on YouTube. I work as a photographer, and I was going to catch a train to Oslo, which is about because they're doing repairs or something on the track or whatever. I think it's about a 7.5 hour train journey. And so I got on the train to Central Station, and I had company where there was two of us, and we got on board, and I had quite a bit of gear with me, and which is stuff that I usually, I try to be relatively in control of my gear. And but there was so many bags, and I was helping my friend with her things, and I put my bag just right over my head, and then the next time I looked up, my bag wasn't there anymore, and the bag in this particular case contained two Hasselblad cameras and about 7 Hasselblad lenses, which is an awful amount of camera gear, worth an awful amount of money. Oh shit, sorry, I shouldn't be swearing, should I? There was water pouring into my paint because I've got an overflowing wet palette. So someone stole my camera bag, they were professionals. Everything happened very fast. I was still actually managed to kind of actually see the person eventually and ran after the person, but they were skilled at running away, and I lost them in my pursuit. It was very adventurous. Since then, I've heard from 4 exact identical, 4 other photographers happen exactly the same thing. So it's like professional thieves. There's more of them. They think there was 3 of them on the train. One keeping lookout, one blah blah blah, and so on. And so the stuff got stolen, which is, these things happen, I guess. And so I called my insurance company and said, look, all my stuff has been stolen. I need to buy new things because I need to work. Which is an insurance company that, I've had the same insurance company for probably about 12 years. I've been paying them a fair bit of money. Work insurance. And as it turns out, in this particular case, none of my gear, even though I've tried to make sure that all my gear is insured, I forgot to read that very specific paragraph of whatever, point 36 point dash slash 9.2 of when on a train going to Oslo, you're definitely not insured, which is a bit of a bummer. And so that is the essence of the rant. If you're in Sweden and you're using a insurance company called Trygg Hansa, please make sure you're actually insured. Because in my case, they have not really, they've been just taking my money basically for about 12 years. And I don't really feel that they don't really feel sorry for me, or in this particular situation, they're just saying, "Ooh, that's a shame," So my little petty rant is that I've vowed to make sure that I tell everyone I know not to use Trygg-Hansa as an insurance company. So I'm on a mission. This has nothing to do with miniature painting, so I apologize about that. But to all you Swedes out there, please just, if you're using Trygg-Hansa, just don't. Okay, rant over. Wasn't too bad a rant. It's just that I don't really feel too bad about the fact that I was robbed. It's like, yeah, sure, you shouldn't be doing that, but it's kind of like it's their job, I guess. We play plenty of games where people do a lot worse things than rob people. Admittedly, that's just games, but yeah, shouldn't be doing it. But these things exist and happen, and But the fact that you then get robbed a second time by an insurance company, which is that's probably liable. Whatchamacallit. I didn't actually get robbed by them. It's my own responsibility. Yada yada. But yeah, that actually feels worse. What haunts me in my sleep is the insurance company, not the thieves. So yeah. So I think that's the rant done. I'm sure I'll might figure out some more rants. What are you guys working on? I'd be interested to hear. Are you also sponging too much paint on your 3D printed house? I'm sure this was a good idea in my head. I'm not sure if it was a good idea in reality. Clyde Dashing is painting Doctor Who related stuff. Cool. Is there a game or is it just for fun? Because I've seen Doctor Who related miniatures. Adventure Built Gaming is attempting to edit a video. That can be pretty daunting if one isn't used to it. Like with many things. I reckon I should probably stipple in another shade of something. I don't know. It's I'm not really sure if this is what I thought it would be. Also, it kind of went on a bit heavy in places. I don't know. Jamie Mayers, thank you. This should just about get you a session IPA at the Fotografiska Museet bar, which is the photographical museum. Yeah, £9 should about do it. I had a beer a couple of days ago that was 105 Swedish krona for a little beer that felt kind of expensive. I think that's about £9. Thank you, Jamie. I appreciate it. Celebrate the first super chat from Jamie Mayers. I certainly will celebrate. Um, Phil is painting Necrons. Wildly absurd army paint scheme workflow. What's wildly absurd about it, Phil? I hope you're not doing camouflage. Mike is building the Leviathan Marines, wondering if someone at Games Workshop gets a bonus every time they join a sprue right to the middle of a perfectly smooth curved surface. Yes. Uh, um, um, I would definitely think that that is the case. That is sort of one of the more interesting things of having now assembled a few scale model kits, is that they tend to have quite a lot of bits, sometimes more bits than Games Workshop stuff. But in the end, it they're not always all that visible. It's like they cover up their own joints, and big sheets are usually bigger pieces, which is a bit interesting. But I remember that from my first venture back into Warhammer, getting that Age of Sigmar box called Soul Wars, and they had all these what's my army called? The faction. Stormcast. It's all these Stormcast. Every single one of them is like the shoulder pad is that's where the joint is, like the most visible part of your miniature is, because they were snap fit, was that straight across the shoulder pad was the joint. And I kind of thought that was a bit silly. Admittedly, usually when you buy Stormcasts that aren't in a box and that aren't push fit, then the shoulder pads are solid and you don't have that issue. So it was more of a thing. But yes, I think you're kind of right there. You're onto something, Mike. Mark from Montana, 2 more pilots and a Great Dane, as in Hound. Okay. Does that mean you're tired of painting your plane, Mark, so you're painting pilots instead? Wild Dice Roller is gluing in gravestones for a Mordheim board tile. Cool. Adrian is, I have a big orc bust to prime and a massive pile of Leviathan, which I'm currently trying to work out how much of which to put together, as I hate trying to get 2 feet deep. But there's a complicated sentence there, Adrian. But yeah, you were going to play. You shared a box with someone, didn't you, of the Leviathan? Alison, just working on orcs, dwarves, and guardmen with pool floaties and beverages. Sounds fully normal, Alison. Gary is building little plastic squares for my little plastic dollies to hide behind. But first, I will cover them in silicone and make them multiply. Okay, that's a good word. Phil's Necron's armor panels are based on recreating the look of a hot rod paint job I saw 15 years ago. Is your memory that sharp, Phil? Mine isn't. Or did you find an old photograph? Norbert is preparing to paint a bust from Black Crow Miniatures. It's overwhelming, but I like challenges. What does the bust depict? What is it? I got a bust from Scott Miniac that I want to paint, but I think that's a bit sort of further down in the pipeline. No, it's not even in the pipeline. It's hasn't even found the map to the pipeline yet. It's like somewhere out in that huge desert, there's a pipeline. That's kind of where that bust is at. But hopefully it will get painted. Phil says dark, deep gloss lacquer look made with red umber base with glints of metallic red on the specular highlights. Oh, sounds fancy. Mark says I have some problems with the rigging on the SOP width. Does that, so I know that is a plane. Does that mean you have like wires that you're supposed to, because that sounds complicated. Adrian is sharing his Leviathan with his brother. Sharing is a bit of a stretch. I did the paying and I'm doing the painting. Some would be angry about that and some would be happy. Which one are you, Adrian? Angry Nacho says, I'm just trying to figure out my Tyranid paint scheme. You're not going for a hot rod then, Angry Nacho. Didn't I see Miguel in here somewhere? Oh, way back. So my brain is not exceptionally fast today. I thought I saw Miguel in here saying I had a nice haircut, and I forgot to say thank you, Miguel. Hot rod Tyranids could be a fun thing. I agree with like that. I wouldn't want to have to paint it myself, but it would be kind of cool with with the this is not working out. Why did I just do that? Oh dear. Okay. That's way too yellow. Okay. Put the wrong paint on. I'll remove that paint and I'll go back to what I was doing and just do more of it. Mark says, yeah, the rigging wire for the plane is not always easy for my jittery hands. I don't think I'd think that was easier either. Do you get wire in the box when you buy them, or is that like stuff you have to buy? Is it actual wire, or is it like thin? Is it metal wire or something like that? I'm intrigued. I've never like bought a miniature and there is wire in the box. To end my third rant, which was kind of where it was going as well, is that what I'm doing right now is something that I would have liked to have done ages ago. It's just that getting all your gear stolen and then having to figure out how to replace that gear without the money you need, because the insurance company is not giving you the money. It takes a bit of time and consideration. So a lot of my past weeks have been about that kind of stuff, and I've this entire diorama should have been done last week. Instead, I've been dealing with police and insurance companies and money lenders and no, no money lenders. And I've had to try and just honestly get more work on the photograph side of things to be able to pay for the new gear that I'm going to need. So this has all sort of had to take a little bit of a back seat, which is not really the way I would have wanted it. But unfortunately, YouTube is not paying Hasselblad kind of money, unfortunately. Thin, stretchy line. Aftermarket. There's also aftermarket thin metal rigid wire, which is what I should have used. I get it. That being said, this video is also taking a little bit of time because I went to hang out with Oscar again. That some of you, if you've seen that video, if you haven't, you should check it out. He's Oscar the Monster Hunter. He's also, we filmed a little short intro for this video that I'm working on. And so that kind of stuff adds to how long it takes to make a video. But hopefully, I don't know. And I also kind of forgot that my son's apparently he's got summer holidays kind of a thing. I'm like, what? Wait, when am I supposed to be working if you're supposed to be bugging me all the time, like and demanding food and stuff? So yeah, we'll see. I'm just doing this stippling, and hence things take longer too. I could instead of like this video is going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 painted miniatures, a bit of a machine kind of a thing, and a diorama, and then also a cinematic introduction. So that kind of stuff takes a bit of time as well, I guess. Okay, so this is what you can't see what I'm doing, which is maybe a bit boring, or maybe you're not even watching because you're just listening. I don't know, but this is where we're at. It's looking kind of sponged, but I think in the end, probably onto something. I'm just after textures, I guess. So I probably should just... Oh, there's my head. You know what I should have done? I should have filmed this as well, because this is going in the video. Let's just press record on that button and pretend like nothing happened. Okay. Oscar is a hero. I agree. Oscar is great. It's not going to be quite as elaborate as the last time, but it's still going to be Oscar. He's Oscar the mad scientist this time, and not Oscar the monster hunter. Gary Jensen says, Alex, if I watch the entire ad, does it help the channel more than skipping after 5 seconds? I've got no idea. I don't think so. I think I don't think that really matters, but I'm not sure. Phil says 64 watching, but 51 likes. There's only 51 watching now that you said that, Phil. And 57 likes. So we're winning, I think. Now there's only 50 watching. Yeah. It's strange with live streams. I really enjoy doing them, but it's like for every live stream I do, there's less views than the live stream before it, which makes me think I'm doing something wrong. I'm still going to keep doing them though, because you folk that are here, I very much appreciate spending time with. But there used to be about 150, I think, at least, or more during the live streams, and now, it's like this. But there we are. Gary Fox says, I think the trick with the live streams is consistency. Yeah. It most probably is. But I'm kind of tired of that side of things. I'd love to do regular things if YouTube paid me to do regular things, which it doesn't yet. So now I can just do it whenever I have the time. And I'm kind of a little bit scared of how many creators you see that kind of have a tendency to burn out a little bit and just to please. And so instead, I'm just sticking to doing them when I can, rather than not doing them at all. Okay, so now we're doing some stippling with the brush, which also kind of works if you have a filthy little old brush like this. The thing is, I've really watered this paint down quite a bit. Maybe not quite enough. Whoops. No, stop. Okay. I'm just trying to get in the nooks and crannies that I couldn't really get to with the sponge. It's kind of sort of starting to look a bit sort of plasterish. Is that even in focus for you? Yeah, sort of. Adrian says, did you advertise the live stream on Instagram apart from an hour ago? And was that a thing you used to do? I have yeah, I usually do more in advance. But to be honest, Adrian, I'm not really sure of the connection of it's like I don't feel that I sense that sort of YouTube people that can watch things on YouTube will then maybe follow me on Instagram. But I think getting people on Instagram to jump over onto YouTube is not really something that happens all that much. I agree with previous statement that it's about consistency. Everyone knows that, oh, he always streams at Sundays at 4:00 every other Sunday, and I can schedule that in my own calendar, and Bob is your uncle. So it's obviously more about that. But I mean, this live stream has been sort of advertised on YouTube for more than 24 hours. To 60,000 people, which is then kind of fascinating that can be filtered down into 50. But I actually really don't mind at all. Whoops, that was the microphone. Hello, Chris. How are you doing? I hope you're well. Alison is wondering if summer break has an impact. I'm most probably. I think it's just the way of things. Lots of different reasons. Ryan says your videos are the most watchable miniature painting videos that I found on YouTube. I very much appreciate that, Ryan. It's a very kind comment. I'm glad you like them. I have a lot of fun making them, and I have a lot of fun painting miniatures too. See, now this is starting to get somewhere. It's just about an hour of stippling. It's a funny old world sometimes, isn't it? Like, wait, what did you do the past hour? I was just sort of stabbing my brush at a house with diluted paint. What were you doing? Oh, ran a marathon, something. Saved children out of a burning building. Oh, that's nice. I had fun stippling. Mike says, I rarely watch streams live because they don't usually line up with my hobby time, but I often watch them later if that helps. Of course. I mean, it's supposed to be sort of for my enjoyment, but also your enjoyment, sort of some kind of company while doing the hobby or whatever. I mean, that's the essence of it. I just like to get my ego boosted and stuff like that. Whoops, too much paint. Okay, I'm gonna have to stop doing this now and move on. I'm sorry about the rattling. Ryan says it's pretty early here in NA. If you want more NA viewers, you might want to consider a slightly later time. Yeah, it's always a thing. As I said, I've kind of, I think if one does this, if I would decide to, I'm not going to do anything else but be a professional YouTuber, then obviously I would sort of I should wear glasses. I think my stippling will improve drastically. Oh shit. Just kidding. then I'd have to, take business decisions regarding how I handle the channel, as I'm not relying solely on the income. It's like half my income, maybe. Um, then yeah, then I don't have to take that many decisions based on like optimizing things, which means I shouldn't sit here and complain about things either. But I agree. If I would be doing this, uh, you know, as my only thing, then I would think more about times and stuff like this. But I mean, doing it, at least you're awake. It could be worse. Gary is asking if I'm going to be oil washing this. Which, yes, Gary, I'm going to be oil washing this eventually. Probably quite a few different oil washes. I'm going to do what I did in my last I did a scale modeling video with a tank and goblins, and there was an oil painting thing going on there called dot filtering, which was essentially streaking loads of little or dotting out little dots of oil paint and of different colors, and then sort of streaking them out and diluting them with white spirit, creating this filter, but a filter that's sorry, I'm trying to paint and talk at the same time, which is really difficult. Creates a filter, but the filter is, lots of different colors, really. And so it looks kind of natural. And I'm definitely going to be doing that. But I'm also going to sort of try and make this whole building look like it's pretty much burnt out. So what I'm doing now is probably going to be covered with quite a lot of black. I also I think I want to make the building look like it's, after it was burnt out, it's sort of been standing around for a while. So there's like green mold and stuff growing on it. So my idea in the end is that this is going to be more like black and green. But I kind of need this to be happening underneath still, which is maybe a waste of time, but hopefully not. Hello there, girl painting, my German viewer. I hope you're doing well. Adrian says, if you want the Australian viewers to tune in on Saturday, you should have streamed yesterday. The time zones are a pain in the what's it. Yeah, I think in this case, probably people in the Americas, in the South and the North Americas, are in a good seat when it comes to streaming for hobby streaming, because it's virtually impossible for me to stream. Like if I could stream not in the evenings, because I've got my son, and so a lot of the time I can't stream in after work hours. but to be able to get viewers from the US, uh, then there's no point for me of streaming at 10 in the morning because then all of the US is asleep, and frankly, a lot of viewers are from the US. Whereas if it's 10 in the morning in the US and you stream, then all of Europe is like having their afternoon, and yeah, it's difficult for me to find stream times that aren't times when I have my son. This is not one of the rants. This is just me talking. Mark from Montana, thank you very much for the extra VAT. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it. Hello, Moscow Cowboy from Florida. Dirty Patches says, my biggest problem in this hobby is rushing up things. And in this hobby, there are many steps that need their own time. How or what should I do to avoid it? I guess it depends on what you're painting and why you're painting it. The reason usually we rush things is because we have an idea of that we need the finished product for something. Like if you're painting miniatures to play games with, you need to paint them, before you play the game, kind of a thing. Oops, I didn't know that. I'm actually not. You couldn't see me there for quite a bit. I'm sorry. But yeah, so I mean that's a big difference sometimes with the fact that we play games with the miniatures, and so it feels like we're not getting. We need to get them done is the feeling. Whereas if you're painting something just because you might be painting a bust or you might be painting a scale model or whatever, and you're doing it because you are just enjoying the painting, and then when you're finished you start the next one, but you're not overly concerned maybe with a time frame of having to finish something. So that means you rush less. Most of our rush is all about the fact that we have based our hobby around needing the finished product. That's why there's so many, and so that just imprints itself on the entire our side of the hobby, like to the extent that companies make specific special paints that are called something with speed, and so it's just fed to us that things need to get painted fast. And we also, obviously would like to play with these miniatures, so we also think we should paint them fast. There's not really any getting away from that. Unless you're not actually using the miniatures for anything. 'Cause technically, I mean, we paint because it's fun, kind of. You could just keep painting the 3 minute. You could paint 3 miniatures in a year, and if you're just enjoying the painting, it would still have been fun. But we've very much created an environment where the finished miniature is what is important. Like even sort of, I don't know how. That was a lot of. I used to see a lot more whips, WIP, what I'm painting on like Instagram. There used to be tons of that. Like this is what I'm working on right now, and I see less and less and less and less. It's just the finished. There's just constantly the finished product. We don't talk about, the act of painting. We talk about the finished product almost constantly. How do I get there? How do I get there fast? How did you get there? What did you, the end result? And so it's kind of difficult to just, it's difficult not to feel that way because it's just such a big thing right now. One thing that helps is just being aware of that these things are happening, and that you know there's actually nothing wrong with slowing down, unless you really need to get all those miniatures done. But then I'd kind of recommend to not care all too much about what they look like, and just like, this is my army. I really need it fast on the table. Then just, okay, if that is really what you need, then don't pay too much attention to the end result. Just put simple, fast speed paints on there, and then you can have other projects where you like, I'm doing this for the painting. But yeah, that was a bit of a monologue, wasn't it? Ernst, I hope you have a good day at work. Girl Painting says, I face the same problem. When I stream, I have to do it about 11 o'clock to 3 o'clock at night just to grab the American audience. Yeah. Ramirez says, hi Alex, speed paint is great for a base, especially over a high contrast dry brush. Easy to find, easy to feel an army that way, but it lacks the immersion of the fine details. Totally agree with you, Ramirez. And there's nothing wrong with it. Like that's the thing as well. We tend to feel a need to decide of what's right and wrong, and like we put value into all these things. Of a well-painted mini or a not well-painted mini, and getting better or whatever. I kind of feel that the value should be put in the fact that we're sort of sitting down with the brush in our hands and paint on our palettes, and that sort of the rest is just other things. Value is that we have a hobby. Ryan Kleben, thank you very much. Great work on the channel. Thanks for all the hard work. Learned so much from the videos. I'm very glad to hear that, Ryan. And I greatly appreciate the support and donation. While on the subject of donations, I should say that there is a Patreon, and where you can support. It's like a subscription service where you give me a little bit of your money every month, kind of like paying money to Netflix. Only in this case, you can actually talk to the CEO, the creative director, the cleaner, the director of photography, the script writer, the director, the actor, the prop maker, and the editor, and the grader, and the audio mixer, whoever writes the music, which is me, and so on. You can actually talk to them and watch them work and stuff, and see them on YouTube, not being able to start a stream properly. But there's a Patreon for support if you want to support the channel and the work that goes into the channel. Or you can just watch the videos and press like and write a comment, because that helps out as well. Simon says, also just dropping by to say that in line and tune with your previous video content, I'm happily going out to meet an old friend. We should get together more often. Indeed. Glad to hear it, Simon. Are you... Simon also says, don't forget the lighting technician. Yeah. Are you doing hobby stuff, Simon, or is it just hanging out? I don't really put any value into either of them. It's just fun if you're hooking up with someone to play some games and stuff. Adrian says that despotic overlord, which will never let you leave. This is very true. Enlightened despot. Regarding the enlightened despot thing as well, and Patreon, when this stream ends, which is in 20 minutes or something like that, I'll probably just have a short break. What would once have been called go out and have a smoke, which is not what I'm going to do. But in the good old days, that would have been what I would have done. And then I'll be in the Discord hobby hangout, because when you join the Patreon, you also get access to the 52 Miniatures Discord, and which is a great place to just hang out and share hobby thoughts or whatever thoughts, and talk and be in contact with me and other patrons. And sometimes we do a hobby hangout, which is sort of like this, only we can actually see each other and that. And so there's going to be one after this for you patrons in the chat that have more time on your hands. When the stream's over, I'll have a short break, and then I'll be on the Discord hobby hangout. Simon says, just hanging out for a drink. My daily hobby has been spending 3 hours gardening and harvesting onions. You harvesting onions 3 hours a day? That's a lot of onions. Chris says, can you break down the channels on your Discord? You've got quite a few. Maybe help some new folks who want to jump in. Like what happens on the Discord, and talk about the different channels. Well, there's a general channel where we just chat. There's a hobby channel for hobby sort of questions, or I'm working on this. Or there's also a gallery where you can post your finished work, and there's a feedback channel, which is more specific. You only post things there if you actually really want someone to say, "Whoa, you really need to work on this, kid." Not really. It's kind of helpful. There's also a monthly challenge, which is sometimes great. A great challenge. This past challenge was really nice. I think I appreciated it. And sometimes I'm like, what's this? What's the channel of the month? And I kind of just make something up. Don't tell my patrons. And that's about it. I think there's one for pets. People put up pictures of their pets because people like that kind of thing. I'm not in there all that often because I don't have a pet. And then there's the live sort of chat, sort of a hobby room kind of a thing where people hang out every now and again. And actually sort of see each other face to face. Ramirez, thank you for the donation. Alex, can you talk about your black and white film? It was an emotional journey from Kafkaesque B-roll. Absolutely astounding. Thank you, Ramirez. I appreciate it. I was a little bit overwhelmed by the fact that people liked what I did in that video, because I didn't really do anything, which is what I should be saying. So essentially, I had an idea of doing some kind of travel video, and so I just sort of started to film things, and I was like, "Well, how should I film it?" And I just set. I have a separate small camera, the one that you see me through right now, actually, which is it has this black and white setting, and so I thought, okay, I can film in that setting, and I just sort of I just filmed things, and then one day I sat down and wrote a script for a few hours, and then I read that script, recorded it, and then I just put the two things together. So there's actually very little thought that went into that video compared to how much I think about making all the other videos. And people seem to have liked it a lot, which is kind of fun. guess there's a certain mood to it. Like there was a certain mood to writing the script because there's nothing in the video that I'm. Otherwise, when I write a script, it's about what's happening in camera. In this case, the script was written more as a story, and the footage is just the stuff I filmed. Um, there's nothing in what I'm saying that is enforced specifically by the images that you see. The images that you see is just the times when I remembered that oh shit, I should be filming something, and I just put my camera on like a box or a table or a chair or something, and just okay, that looks nice, and record. And so I guess that creates a different vibe. Otherwise, it's still quite a lot of me talking about stippling white paint while you see me stippling white paint. So that probably made things a little bit different. But I'm glad people liked it, because it's a different style of video, definitely, compared to this is how you speed paint Terminators from the new whatever we call it box. Simon asks, is there a book channel? Yes, there is a book channel. I should be doing another book review as well. Yes. Dirty Patch, in regards to the time, says, my main problem is the short hobby time. I have my day job and a wife and 2 small children. I'm doing this to run away. When I was a kid, I loved painting Warhammer 40k miniatures, and inspired by your work and others by some YouTubers, I decided to start over. Yeah, I think your story is, there's quite a lot of us like that about. Some with more time, some with less time, some with big hobby setups, some with just a few bottles of paint and miniatures, like the kitchen table when the kids have gone to bed. In regards to like struggling with getting things done, I guess, is sort of what you were talking about, because you don't have as much time to do it. It is a bit of a tricky equation, because it is by default a hobby that takes kind of time. We're painting little tiny miniatures, very detailed sort of work. It requires that we sort of sit down and concentrate for, it's not just sort of, I don't know, juggling, kind of just stand there for 10 minutes throwing some balls around. Can maybe be done faster. I don't know. This is a very strange comparison. But I mean, there's plenty of different ways. If you're actually looking to get miniatures painted, to get them done, if that's a sort of a feeling that you're after, and not just sitting down and realizing you only sort of had, nothing's happening because you don't have the time, is either to just simplify, that you're trying to maybe start doing simpler things first, because it's if you just started again recently, there is still a bit of a learning curve that takes time, and maybe you have your aims set too high, like you could lower them while you're practicing, while you're learning, and then the more experience you get, then maybe you get more efficient, and you get, as you learn, you can get things done a little bit faster. something that we did, that was one of the last month's challenge, was because I did that when I was painting. I was painting with Scott Miniak on his live stream, and he gave me a miniature that because he asked me what I wanted to paint, and I before the stream, and I said it'd be great to paint something that you're going to be using, one of your miniatures, not just a random like piece of plastic, but something that you might actually get some use out of. And so he gave me one of the miniatures that he uses for his kill team, and I kind of decided that I really wanted to try and finish it. And I can't remember if the stream was 2 or 3 hours. Was it 3 hours? And like this during a stream, it's kind of difficult to finish a miniature, at least for me, because there's a lot of talking and stuff like that. But because it was his stream, then he could do most of the talking. And I really tried to just finish it in that specific set of time, space of time, which in this case would probably have been about maybe 2 hours worth of painting, or 1.5 hours worth of painting. I wasn't super stressing, and it was still a sort of situation of talking and doing these things. And so when you set a specific time limit like that, you just have to move on, even if it's like this, me stippling this thing for 2 hours. That's not the same thing as, that's just me fiddling about. Whereas mentally deciding like this miniature is getting 2 hours of my time, or 3 hours or whatever, and then it's going to be done. It's not that it's going to be half painted and I'm not going to be using it. You're going to finish it, and you just have to move on and take decisions based upon your time limit. And it's kind of an interesting challenge, is the wrong word, but for one thing, you get an idea of how long it takes you to paint a miniature. It also gives you an idea of what you can accomplish in that short period of time, and it also gives you an idea of like, well, I need 5 to finish my squad, and I managed to sort of get a passable result in 3 hours or whatever. And so that means if I'm going to do a squad of 5, and that's 5 times 3 hours, and all of a sudden you get a graspable concept of what's actually going on. Because I think one of the reasons we feel like we're not accomplishing anything is because we sit down and 3 hours pass, and you've just like painted a shoe or something like that, and then you sit for another hour, and and time just passes, and you don't really have anything to show. You haven't got any proof of where you put the time, really. So it could be just an interesting exercise, if you can find, if you get to sit down and paint for an hour once a week or something like that, then maybe, okay, give yourself 2 weeks to finish a miniature. See if you can do it, and what you have to change or not change to do that, and see what you like or didn't like. And try and make sense of where I'm at in the chat. Simon says that video felt natural, smooth, and effortless. I'm thinking you're talking about the black and white one. Yeah, it's probably because there's no what you're seeing and what you're hearing is connected, but it's also not connected. You could listen. You don't have to. And whatever you are seeing is not. You don't have to register any information out of it. It's actually like watching a painting tutorial with someone painting something is a very different thing from a lot of the things we watch. If you think about film, stuff like that, you don't actually really have to pay attention. Like, wow, how much did he dilute that paint? Oh, okay, he's using that paint just on the highlights. Oh, okay. We're processing all that information when we're watching sort of more tutorial-based content and listening at the same time. And it's a completely different thing than, like, a lot of films. You can turn the sound off and you can just watch them and you go like, wow, that's beautiful. Or you can just not really watch it but just listen. Or you can, it's yeah. And we don't get to see much hobby content that is like that, because most of it is just tutorials. I did this and look at me, and this is how you should do it. And so we're just not used to seeing other type of content. And so when it shows up, it's different. Hello, Malev. I hope you're doing well. You're joining us right at the end. Dirty Patches, thanks. Maybe the solution is paint more and think less. I mean, you don't necessarily need to have the massive output if you don't need, or if you're not painting for an army or something like that. But there's definitely a difference in painting because you need output, or painting because you think it's fun. If you're painting just because it's fun, then you don't really need to worry about getting done as much. Even though there, of course, there's a specific type of satisfaction in finishing something and like, wow, look, I painted this. This is me. I did this. It's done. You can show it to someone, or just go look at it every now and again. It's also it can be a proof of progress. If you're during a year, if you're painting like 20 miniatures or something like that, whatever, most probably number 20 might be more satisfactory to you than the first one. And so our finished miniatures also become proof of progress, and that's, I guess, another reason why one wants to finish miniatures, is because they will most probably be a little bit better than the last one. On the other hand, that's not always true either, because I think after a while, I at least feel that it's more about I've gotten to the point where I realize that if I sit down, paint something for a very long time, it's going to look better than if I sit down and paint something fast. And so it hasn't really got anything to do with, of course, my skill level changes, but I've reached at least a certain level where skill is not the only thing. It's also how much time I just put into it. If I paint a miniature for ages, it's just going to look better than if I paint it fast. It hasn't got anything to do with skill. It's just it's just time management. Alexander Danilov says, I'm new. Places to hang out, paint together online. There's always YouTube. Alexander, places like this, live streams. If you enjoy like company like this, like we're doing now, you can definitely check out different creators on Twitch. There's a lot more live streams going on Twitch rather than YouTube. I'm just doing YouTube because I'm an old fart. And so probably just go to Twitch and type miniature painting and see what shows up. Like myself, there's, I have a Discord channel for my patrons where there's usually hobby hangouts and, discussions and stuff like that. And so if you have a content creator that you think does good things, you can support them by joining their Patreon, and most often they have like a Discord channel connected to that. I know I do, and a lot of other people do as well. Usually, if you like someone's content, then that's a good sort of. There will most probably just be other people in there that are a little bit like you because they also like the content that the creator makes. And so it's a pretty good filter, I think. People who maybe like creators that are more into other things than I am, or more about the lore of Warhammer 40,000, or just different type of personalities. It becomes sort of a filter, so that a lot of people that like my videos that then become patrons kind of then like to hang out together, because it's like like people listening that like to listen to the same kind of music or whatever. There's usually common things. Girl Painting says, I only paint one miniature at a time. It just happens that over the years I painted kind of the same kind of miniature often enough so that it formed playable armies in the process. Yeah, it's good. It's a good plan. I really need to sit down for I'm going to finish my army session, because I want to finish my army and I haven't painted. And that's my Stormcast army for Age of Sigmar. I haven't painted anything for that in ages, and there's tons left, and I want to be done. So my last plan was that I should do that during the summer. I'm not doing much else during the summer, and here we are. It's summer, and I'm not doing that, am I? I'm stippling, doing scratches on house. Which is fun, but also getting out of control, I guess, as always. I have really bad time management and really bad I can never appreciate how long things will take. Like, I seriously thought this whole diorama was supposed to be done. The whole video was supposed to be done last week. And I definitely thought that during this live stream I was going to be finished with this piece. And I'm still stuck on the plaster. But yeah. What time is it? Should be about. How much time did we lose? In the beginning. Yeah, as Malev said as well, Twitch is a good place for hanging out with painters online. Definitely. There's a lot more sort of like this is today. So sometimes I just have a sit and talk into the camera. Most of the times my live streams are a little bit more like that, and that changes the essence of the live stream a little bit, so that I think the chat usually is a bit more active and there's more questions and things like that. As soon as you start painting, then people relax a little bit more because they're also painting, and it becomes a little bit more of a hangout, and that's a lot more common on Twitch, definitely. Adventure Built Gaming says, thank you for the time you took out of your day to share with us. Have a great rest of your day. You too, man. I appreciate it. Hello, PV, and goodbye, Simon. I think this is probably a good time to end, don't you? It's been about 2 hours, haven't it? Hasn't it? Hasn't. Was a bit off to a bit of a rough start. I don't know. I'm trying to think if I missed a rant. I did the major rant. Hello, TFTF. Long time no see. How are you doing? I swear there was another rant. Is Mark? This is not a rant. Was this the stuff you were talking about for the goggles? I was wondering. Paul Heppenstall says, "Oh, bad timing on my part to arrive at the end." Yeah, it was a bit of a rough start. YouTube didn't like me. I had to recreate the stream, unfortunately, but it turned out well in the end. I've been painting this thing, which was all just airbrushed. I've been trying to stipple on some kind of texture onto this thing, which in the end is going to be darkened down a lot more anyway. So this is just sort of what's going on underneath. I'm kind of happy with parts of it, but there's some sloppy stuff going on as well that I don't really like, but I think I'm just going to have to move on. And start painting some texture on these gray rocks instead. Gray bits of stone is what they're called. And then do that on the entire thing, and then move over on to oil paints, I guess. I think I've kind of decided that it's going to be a bit of a rough diorama. Like, not that I'm not going to spend time on the painting, but I want the look of it to be a bit more like a painting. So sort of rougher stippling textures, even more than usual. And we'll see how that goes. Bye, Kilo. Have a good time. Mick Lanigan says, your thing looks like my thing. Still working on my May diorama project. Yeah, it kind of looks, but I think mine's a lot smaller than yours, isn't it, Mick? It's just well, not a lot smaller, but there's just the one, it's like what do you call it when you go to the theater and they have this thing behind you, but in English it's called a kuliss in Swedish, like a backdrop. But yeah, you have a nice time as well, girl painting. I'm gonna end this stream now. I've been dragging this out. TFT, I've asked if I ranted over my Star Wars Shadow Point. No, everyone asked last stream. I was like, who would like to see me paint Star Wars Shadow Point? That's just a waste of time. And everyone was like, I'd like to see that. But yeah, that's for another stream. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming out today and spending your time with me. I truly appreciate it. It's always great to hang out with you. And sorry for the troubles at the start of this stream. We'll blame YouTube for that one, actually. For you patrons that are in the stream now, as it's live, I'll just have a short break and then I'll jump over to the Hobby Hangout on the Discord channel. If you want to keep on hobbying, I'm going to keep on painting on this thing. The rest of you have a great Saturday and a great weekend, and I'll see you again soon. Goodbye.